You're probably asking yourself some version of the same question every month. Do I actually need another person, a better tool, or just more discipline? And usually you only ask it when something's already breaking: your calendar, your team, or your inbox. That's the real reason teams either burn out or bloat. It's not just bad hiring decisions or shiny AI tools. It's the absence of clear thresholds. No pre-agreed moment where you say, when this happens, we pull this lever: hire, automate, or redesign.
Exactly. Most organizations wait for pain, burnout, customer complaints, missed numbers. By then, your decision is emotional. You're exhausted, your team's frustrated, and every option feels like an emergency patch instead of a designed move.
Today, we're going to remove that drama. In this briefing, we'll define what I call executive scaling thresholds. Simple, explicit conditions that tell you in advance when to add people, when to deploy AI, and when to upgrade or redesign a system.
And to make it usable, not theoretical, we'll walk through a 3-move model you can sketch on one page in under an hour. Count, cap, convert. If you're listening on the way to work, this is something you can literally outline before lunch.
Let's define the concept first. Then we'll go into the 3 moves. Executive scaling thresholds are pre-agreed rules that connect 3 things. Number 1, reality, your actual workload and decision volume. Number 2, a breaking point, where quality, speed, or your time floor is no longer acceptable. And number 3, a preset response, a specific move you commit to making when that breaking point is reached.
So instead of vague feelings like, we're slammed, maybe we should hire, it becomes something like, when inbound requests cross 100 per week for 4 weeks in a row and ticket resolution time slips past 24 hours, we trigger the automation first plan we already wrote down.
Exactly. You're replacing vibes with thresholds. And because the response is pre-selected, you avoid the 2 classic executive failure modes: emotional hiring and tool sprawl.
There's a deeper benefit, too. When your team knows the thresholds, they stop lobbying and start measuring. The system reveals the truth. You move from, we feel overwhelmed, to, we just hit the cap we agreed on. It's time for the next move.
So how do you build this in practice? We'll use the 3-move model: count, cap, convert. 1 core insight, 3 supporting moves, and a concrete action you can take this week. Move 1 is count. Before you can scale intelligently, you need to see your workload in plain units, not in emotional language. That means switching from "I'm busy" to "I handled 37 approvals, 19 escalations, and 4 reporting cycles this week."
A simple way to start is to pick 1 to 3 workload streams that actually move the business or drain your calendar. For most executives, that's things like customer escalations, internal approvals, status reporting, hiring loops, or vendor decisions.
Then, for each stream, write down 2 numbers: volume per week and time per unit. For example, customer escalations, 15 per week, about 20 minutes each. Or internal approvals, 40 per week, 3 minutes each. You want a rough but honest baseline.
If you run a sales team, that might look like custom pricing approvals, 12 per week, 15 minutes each. If you're a founder, maybe it's investor requests, 8 per week, 30 minutes each. The specifics don't matter as much as the consistency. Patterns create power.
Here's the trick. Don't overcomplicate the counting. This is where smart people get stuck and turn a simple guardrail into a planning project. You are not building a data warehouse. You are getting an honest, directional read on where your time and decision capacity are actually going.
A good constraint is 1 page, 1 week of observation. That's it. Track for 7 days, jot down the counts at the end of each day, and stop. You can refine later. The first pass is about visibility, not perfection.
Once you can count, you move to the second step, cap. Caps are explicit breaking points. They answer the question, at what level of volume or time does this stream stop being acceptable? There are 3 types of caps worth defining. First, quality caps, when error rates, rework, or customer complaints rise beyond what you'll tolerate. Second, latency caps, when response time or cycle time gets too slow. Third, time floor caps, when this work violates the minimum amount of focus time you've promised yourself or your role.
A quality cap might sound like, if more than 5% of our invoices need correction in a month, we've crossed the line. A latency cap could be, if average customer response time goes beyond 12 business hours. A time floor cap is personal. If this stream eats more than 6 hours of my week, I'm below my thinking time minimum.
Notice we're pairing quantitative thresholds with qualitative awareness. You might say, if escalations go past 25 per week and my direct reports report burnout, that's a cap. The numbers make it objective. The narrative makes it humane and strategically aware.
Yes. If you only optimize for numbers, you'll miss shifts in strategy or morale. A launch phase might justify higher volume temporarily, but if your best people are quietly fraying, the system is already telling you it's time to act.
Write your caps as simple, testable rules. For example, if I spend more than 4 hours per week on status reporting for 2 weeks in a row, I've crossed the cap. Or, if average support tickets per rep exceed 40 per week for a month, we've crossed the cap.
And keep the number of caps small. 1 to 3 caps per stream, max. If you create 10 rules, no one will remember them, and they'll become fake thresholds. Nice on paper, ignored in reality.
That brings us to move 3, convert. This is where thresholds become decisions. For each cap you've defined, you decide in advance what you'll convert into when that cap is hit. Do you add a person? Do you deploy or deepen an AI workflow? Or do you redesign the underlying process? Think of convert as mapping caps to levers. For example, if support tickets per rep exceed 40 per week, we first convert to AI-assisted triage before adding headcount. Or, if I hit 6 hours a week on approvals, I convert low-risk approvals into a rules-based system and delegate a chunk to a direct report.
The key is deciding the order of operations. You might set a rule like, at the first cap, we automate or augment. At the second cap, we hire or restructure. That way, you don't jump straight to headcount just because you're tired.
To avoid analysis paralysis, define the minimum viable version of each move. For hiring, that's a 1-paragraph role description and the top 3 outcomes. For AI, that's a single workflow, like summarizing tickets, drafting first responses, or pre-filling reports, implemented with your existing stack. For system changes, that might be a one-step simplification, not a full reorg.
For example, your convert plan might say, at Cap 1 for reporting, we deploy an AI agent that pulls metrics, drafts the slide skeleton, and proposes a narrative. At Cap 2, if I'm still above 4 hours a week, we change the meeting cadence or kill one report entirely. Precision drives agency.
So we've covered count, cap, and convert. Now let's talk about where AI fits in. Because used well, it makes every part of this model easier. And used poorly, it becomes one more thing you have to scale. AI can accelerate count by analyzing historic workloads. If your systems log tickets, emails, meetings, or tasks, you can ask an AI agent to summarize. Average tickets per week, average time to resolve, peak periods, and who carries the load.
On CAP, AI can help you run simple what-if simulations. You can say, show me what happens to response time if volume increases 30% without adding capacity. Or, at what point do my Monday and Friday calendars become wall-to-wall meetings? It's like rehearsing the future before you live it.
On convert, AI is often the first lever. Before you hire, can an AI agent pre-sort, pre-draft, or pre-analyze? For example, an agent can triage support tickets, route low-risk decisions, or create draft responses that your team only needs to review and send.
You can also use AI as a design partner. Literally ask, given this workload and these caps, propose 3 automation or augmentation ideas that take less than a week to test. You don't have to accept every suggestion, but it widens your option set quickly.
The risk, of course, is that AI becomes its own source of overload. 5 tools, 8 agents, no coherent system. That's why your convert step should include rules like, we first extend existing tools before adding new platforms, or we only deploy AI into streams where we've already done count and cap.
You want AI in service of thresholds, not the other way around. If you find yourself deploying agents without clear caps and metrics, that's a sign your system is drifting back into reaction mode.
Let's surface a few failure modes so you can avoid them. The first is fake thresholds, beautifully written rules that nobody uses. That happens when thresholds are too complex, disconnected from reality, or not visible in day-to-day operations.
You fix that by keeping thresholds simple and putting them where decisions happen. On your dashboard, in your weekly review, or at the top of the team document. If people have to dig to find the rules, they'll default back to feelings.
The second failure mode is jumping straight to hiring. You hit a cap, you're tired, so you add a person. But if the underlying process is inefficient, you just multiply the inefficiency. Headcount is the most expensive way to avoid saying no or simplifying work.
A good guardrail is, when a cap triggers, ask in this order. Can we kill it? Can we simplify it? Can we automate or augment it? And only then do we staff it. That small sequence can save you from bloated org charts and talent doing low-leverage work.
The third failure mode is letting AI expansion become its own complexity problem. Dozens of half-built workflows, unclear ownership, and no one sure what's actually in production versus experiments.
Here, less is more. Tie each AI workflow to a specific cap and a specific metric. For example, this triage agent exists to keep tickets per rep below 35 and response time under 12 hours. If a workflow doesn't map to a threshold, it's probably optional or a distraction.
Let's land this with a concrete action you can take this week. Choose one critical workload stream, not 5, 1. Ideally, the one that consistently drains your energy or holds back growth. On a single page, write 3 sections. 1. Count your current weekly volume and time per unit. 2. Cap 1 to 3 simple rules that define when this stream is no longer acceptable in quality, speed, or time. 3. Convert the minimal move you'll make at the first cap and the next move if volume continues to rise.
Give yourself a hard constraint, 60 minutes maximum to draft it. This isn't a strategy offsite. It's an operating guardrail. You can refine it over time. The system will tell you what works and what doesn't.
Once that one-page playbook exists, 2 things happen. Your future decisions become faster, and your team gains confidence that scaling is deliberate, not reactive. Clarity is leverage. This is one way you manufacture it on demand.
If this briefing helped you see your own capacity decisions more clearly, make sure you're subscribed. These 10-minute sessions are designed to give you one actionable lens each day, so your next move is intentional, not improvised.
Hit subscribe now, so this feed is waiting for you the next time you open your podcast app. We'll keep sharpening the tools. You focus on making your next move count. You're listening to the Agentic Executive. Stay agentic.